me a favor and
Sure.
tilt your camera down a little bit and then scooch up?
Is that good?
It's been up the whole time. I just didn't.
Oh my goodness. You should tell me. You're the director.
Welcome to This Ability Clinic, where we would have voted for Obama for a third term if we could. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Van, and we're joined by the eloquent host of Read My Mind Radio, Mr. Thomas Reid. For our audio description, please check out part 1 of this series if you haven't already.
Chris grabs his phone and pulls up the picture he took of Logan. He sends the photo in a message. He enters the bedroom.
Oh, that's Dre. Andre Hayward. Used to kick it with Veronica. Veronica from what? Teresa's sister that worked at the movie theater on 8th. Yes, that is him. Is him, but he's different. No shit. Why is he dressed like that? It's not that, it's everything. He came to the party with a white woman like 30 years older than him. Sex slave! Oh, shit!
You gotta get the fuck up out of there, man. You in some eye wide shut situation. Leave, motherfucker.
Yo, you gonna be a... Hello? Chris? Oh, shit. His battery must be fucking died.
Yeah, I tell you gotta listen to Rod.
By the front door, Jeremy twirls a lacrosse stick.
Let's get the keys. Yo, man. Where you going? The party's just getting started. Just putting bags in the car.
Would anyone like tea?
No, I'm good. We leaving, actually.
Really? Why? Something wrong?
Rose?
His dog got really sick, so he has to be at the vet first thing in the morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, how terrible.
Chris spots Dean in the next room, staring into the lit fireplace.
What is your purpose, Chris?
What?
In life, what is your purpose?
Right now, it's finding those keys.
Fire, it's a reflection of our own mortality. We're born, we breathe, and we die.
Rose?
I'm lucky.
Even the sun will die someday. But we are divine. We are the gods, trapped in cocoons.
Rose.
I don't know where they are.
Rose! Rose, give me those keys! Rose, give me those keys. Rose, now! Now, the keys!
Yeah, that part with the father, it definitely sounds like some white supremacy stuff. Because even the we are divine, he's not talking about Chris.
No, yeah, he's talking about his white family.
Yeah, like, I'm about to show you what your purpose here is. And that's to serve white people. In terms of the blindness, he's looking into the light. He's looking, and then he's talking about how the sun is going to go dark and all that. I don't know. There's a little bit of light, darkness, which could be, sight. It could be white, black, whatever. That part just really, really stuck out to me. That was very uncomfortable. Like that's a very uncomfortable part.
Fluorescent lights line the ceiling of a wood-paneled game room containing ping pong, darts, and foosball. In the center of the room, Chris sits strapped to a leather armchair, unconscious. His curled fingers flex, and he startles awake. Chris spots his restraints and fights to break free. In front of Chris, the mounted head of a buck hangs on the wall. Chris frantically glances around the room. The TV turns on, displaying a forest. Chris stares at the screen, where a gray-haired old man watches the sun rise over trees.
Is there anything more beautiful than a sunrise?
The man faces the camera.
Aye.
Roman continues to address the audience.
You have been chosen because of the physical advantages you've enjoyed your entire lifetime. With your natural gifts and our determination, we could both be part of something greater. The Coagula procedure is a man-made miracle. Our order has been developing it for many, many years. And it wasn't until recently it was perfected by my own flesh and blood. Maybe one day you'll enjoy being members of the family.
Roman stands with the whole Armitage family.
Behold,
The old man gazes upward.
the Coagula.
As kids, Rose and Jeremy wave along with their parents and grandparents. The phrase, "Behold the Coagula," appears. Chris's disturbed gaze drifts up from the TV to the mounted deer head.
What's happening on screen with the Behold the Coagula?
Some of the footage is like a bug that's coming out of a cocoon and then flying away like a butterfly. And then most of the imagery right at the end of the video is actually the two grandparents, the two parents, Dean and the mom, and then two little kids that are obviously Rose and her little brother as children. And so the last frame is like all of these family members standing in front of their plantation house waving. And what you weren't able to see is the beginning of the movie when Dean is giving Chris a tour and looking at photos of the family. That same screenshot of like the grandparents, the kids, and the parents is one of the pictures that he's seeing. A family photo that's on display that seems harmless is actually part of this like documentary that they show their victims.
Yeah, which is so cold. Like that's just there was only one woman who was taken. Like there's no real talk about how they procure Black women bodies.
I thought that it was in the audio description, but when Chris discovers the box of photos of Rose and her trophies, basically her victims, most of them are Black or African American men, as the audio description describes them. There's a photo of Georgina and her. So she was in a relationship with Georgina and lured her in the same way she did with the men.
Yeah, but you see, now I wonder why they stay away from that. Why did they stay away from that? Because again, if you think about during slavery, you just think about like, why wouldn't that be the reverse where some older man was like, hey, you know, what do you think about this woman over here? Like there was no, I wonder how that goes. Not that it goes down, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Movie.
Well, in the Get Out universe,
in the Get Out universe,
and going down.
Right. And why do they stay away from it?
I feel like Jordan Peele with this movie wanted to flip the narrative. So he wanted to show Black men being victims and white women being the predators. So I think that's why that's the focus of the dynamic. Whereas, of course, a white man being a predator for Black women is, I think that would be too on the nose. And I don't think the movie would work as well. It's not as subtle.
Ah, okay. Okay.
I think that's those are some of the reasons I would say.
Chris scratches at the now torn armrests of his chair. He wakes with a start. The captive young man wears a dazed expression. The television flickers on.
Hey, Chris. How's it going, buddy? You can answer. There's an intercom in the room.
Where's Rose?
Oh, you dirty dog. Now, you're one of the lucky ones. Trust me. Jeremy's wrangling method sounds way less pleasant. I'm supposed to answer any outstanding questions, concerns you may have so far. Apparently, our common understanding of the process has a positive impact on the success rate of the procedure. Phase 1 was the hypnotism. That's how they sedate you. Phase 2 is this. Mental preparation. It's basically psychological pre-op.
Yeah.
For phase 3, well, partial, actually. The piece of your brain connected to your nervous system needs to stay put, keeping those intricate connections intact. So you won't be gone, and not completely. A sliver of you will still be in there somewhere, limited consciousness.
A glimpse shows Chris in the sunken place.
You'll be able to see and hear what your body is doing, but your existence will be as a passenger.
More glimpses show Georgina and Logan.
You'll live in the sunken place.
Chris stares off sadly.
I'll control the motor function, so I'll be
me. You'll be me.
Good. Good. You got it quick. Good on you.
Why us? Huh? Why Black people?
Who knows? People want to change. Some people want to be stronger, faster, cooler.
Black is in fashion.
But please don't lump me in with that. You know, I could give a shit what color you are. What I want is deeper. I want your eye, man. I want those things you see through.
The idea of what we see, the idea of seeing, it's not necessarily a physical or sensory thing, right? There's another component of that. There's perspective, right? And they don't take that into account at all. You're not going to have that, which makes me think of this idea that they all want to be Black, right? But you want Blackness without the burden of Blackness. That's so interesting, and that's a historical thing. Makes me think of, you know, again, just the way Black has been used. You mentioned art and culture, just fresh on my mind because I watched the new Elvis movie that's out there. I think of Elvis. I think of, you want to be Black, but you're not, and you just, so you, what do? You steal. Maybe that's a little bit too deep there. I don't know, but that's where it makes me go. You know, it's a buried alive movie. when you think about that, right? When you think about the sunken place, he's buried alive.
Right. They have a consciousness, they're present, but he says your existence will be as a passenger.
As a passenger. Wow.
He's not like panicking. He's not scared. He actually looks quite resigned and just kind of defeated, like almost defeated. Like he knew, he's almost accepting it. Like, all right, this is it.
Oh, wow. That's some fine acting there.
Yes, absolutely.
That's some fine acting because yes, that's what he's supposed to be experiencing, right? So that's what we'll call the old Chris, right? The Chris who was a young man, whatever, and didn't respond, you know? I think for a lot of people, that is some high level scary shit. He would have no control, but yet and have to do whatever this guy's going to do. And what is he going to really experience all of these things? Man, that's crazy.
In an operating room, Jim lies unconscious. An empty bed rests beside him. Dean wears medical scrubs and rubber gloves. He puts on a surgical mask. Large candles burn in the dimly lit room. Dean takes deep breaths, then approaches his patient.
Never use sterile gloved hands to pull up your face mask. Ask someone outside the sterile field to do it for you.
Also in scrubs, Jeremy enters with a small wooden case. Jeremy sets the ornate case down on a stand. He opens it to reveal a set of surgical tools. Dean selects a scalpel, then goes to the top of Jim's head, which protrudes through a translucent plastic barrier.
I just wanted to show that because, like, coming from a medical perspective, like, okay, you can set up an operating room in your house, I guess. But, like, literally the operating room is, like, decked out with candles. There's, like, tall candelabras. It's just, like, you would never have an open flame in an operating room because you're running oxygen. Like, you would just immediately set everything on fire. But I get it. It was done for dramatic effect, so it works.
Absolutely. The sanitarian.
It does not look great.
Yeah. And they would care. I think they would care because they're giving this body, I'm sure they're selling this body to someone.
Right. It's Jim, it's Hudson, the blind guy who's on the table. So yes, like I think it does look relatively sterile, but you've got like portraits on the wall. Like I think there's a rug on the floor. Like it's it's not like a tiled room the way it should be.
Yeah, you don't want a carpet in your operating room.
No, get that out of here.
A glass of milk sits beside a bowl of dry, fruity cereal. In her room, Rose munches on a single piece of the cereal. Listening to music in headphones, she types into a search engine, top NCAA prospects. Rose clicks on a photo of a shirtless, muscular black man holding a basketball. She picks up the glass of milk and takes several small sips through a straw, gazing at the laptop with an icy expression. The selfies of her with previous boyfriends now hang in frames on the wall behind her.
This is gonna be so stupid, but I get the eating the cereal and then drinking the milk thing. Like, is that a thing? Like, I mean, I
think it shows her separating the clean white milk from the like colored cereal.
Yeah.
Which is it's kooky. Oh, the way she's eating it is just so strange. But the other thing is, it's hard to. They didn't add it in the audio description, but she's wearing a white shirt. Her hair is pulled up in a ponytail. She looks very like clean and almost like sterile. Very different from when we first meet her. She's a little bit more like her hair is down. She's a little more casual. She's wearing more colors. So it's a very like visually different Rose. She's sitting straight up in bed. And her bedroom is like perfectly symmetrical. You've got like, 2 rows of small frame selfies behind her, and you've got 2 lamps, and like the bedposts are symmetrical. So it's just a very eerie visual that doesn't really get conveyed, I think, with the audio description.
The cereal also just gives me, like a very childlike, not that you can't eat cereal, but I'm just, I love some cereal. But is there anything childlike about that, about the way, I mean, you mentioned the little ponytail thing.
It seems like it would be an innocent, like, kitty thing. And the bowl of cereal, it's colorful. It's like Fruit Loops. So it looks colorful, the glass of milk. But the way she's eating it, it's weird. She takes one loop out and she kind of like nibbles half of it. Not the way a child would eat cereal. Definitely strange.
It also brought to mind, like, she's going shopping, right? This online shopping thing that she's doing, looking for the next prospect. And this is sort of the nerdy process guy in me. I'm wondering what their process is. Like, does she just, okay, this one is about to go, let me just go get a new one? Do they take orders? Obviously they do the auction stuff, but like, how does that work? Like,
it almost feels like they would have taken an order. Like if the art gallery guy was like, I want someone who is very artistic, like that makes sense. They'd be targeting someone like Chris. For this scene in particular, she's just kind of looking at like NCAA prospects. So I think in general, they're always kind of combing for someone who's like athletic, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like they should have had a golfer, and that would have been cool because they would have known exactly who it was for, right?
I don't know how many black golfers are out there.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I do know Tiger.
He recoils, then opens the door and stumbles out of the car. Nearby, Rose cocks her rifle. Chris staggers by the tree he crashed into. A bullet strikes it. Chris hobbles up the dark road. Rose advances with a glare.
Get him, Grandpa.
Walter sprints by. Chris limps ahead faster, glancing over his shoulder. Walter tackles him. Chris reaches into his pocket and grabs his phone. He aims it at Walter, and a flash goes off. Walter lets go of Chris and blinks.
Throughout that scene, it's like I have to remember that Chris is still in this, I don't know where he is. I mean, he's not in the sunken place, but he's not moving as fast as he should be moving. You know what I mean? Like, so when he gets Walter off him, because I didn't remember it before, but I was like, he's still on the ground? Like, he didn't get up? Like,
yeah, he got into a car accident. Like Georgina caused him to crash the car, so he was kind of limping. So he's pretty wounded.
Yeah. I still feel like that fight or flight thing. Like, he doesn't have a physical flight or fight at all. He doesn't have much, although he developed a little bit of fight there. But yeah.
I'm so sorry. It's me. I love you. I love you.
Chris nods.
I love you.
He wraps his hands around her throat. The bloody man strains as he tightens his grip. Rose stares into his eyes. She puts on a wicked smile. Chris lets go. He stares down at her with a somber expression.
Why didn't he continue to strangle? Why didn't he just strangle her? Why didn't he just shoot her? Like,
I think he doesn't want to sink to her level. Like, I don't think
come on.
It's like, kill her.
Not just kill her for you, but kill her for your people. Like,
Yeah.
you're not, you know what I'm saying?
He literally kills everyone else. Like, he
Yeah.
stabs Dean with the deer. He stabs the mom. Jeremy, he kills. So it's like, why? Yeah, you're right. He could have just finished the job very easily for Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Right up to the end, Rose like tried to manipulate again. She was like, "I love you."
Yeah,
Be all soft with him. So maybe that got to him a little bit.
Oh, that's terrible. It sort of gives me what people say about the Kardashians. It's literally,
Like they want to strangle the Kardashians.
no, just like the power over black men. Like that's what it's giving me that sort of vibe. Like, I don't know what he's saying there. Why he let her go? But she dies at the end anyway, right?
Yeah. It's like she was already fatally wounded.
Yeah. All right. So I guess it's better for his soul that you killed all those other ones, but whatever.
Exactly. It is a nice callback that in their first scene together, he is talking about how he doesn't want to get chased
Off the lawn with a shotgun.
and then at the end she's like shooting at him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't get that.
So many nice parallels.
Rose gazes back at him. Police lights flash on their faces as a cruiser pulls up. Chris glances at the vehicle. Rose waves weakly with her blood-stained hand.
Help me.
Chris puts up his hands in surrender. The driver's door opens, revealing the word airport on the side. Rod steps out.
Shit!
Chris stares at his friend.
Chris!
Chris lowers his hands. With a relieved expression, he climbs to his feet and limps toward Rod. Chris goes to the passenger side and gets in. Rod joins him. Rod adjusts his jacket, staring out the windshield at the bodies on the road ahead. He slowly looks at his bloody friend, who stares vacantly. Rod gently shakes his head.
I mean, I told you not to go in that house.
He gestures with both hands held up, then shrugs.
The realest part of that scene is when Rod says what he says.
Yeah.
It's so that is so real, because it's like I think of, you know, somebody who might have rescued me in my life before, something like that, saying something like that, you know, like, man, I told you, B. Like
Yeah.
you know, he's always gonna have to tell you, I told you.
Did you have a reaction to when, you know, Chris he's kind of just like, all right, I'm not going to strangle Rose, whatever. And then the police sirens flash in the back.
Oh yeah. That was oh no. Oh Lord have mercy, please. I had it the third time I watched this. I forgot. Like I was like, oh, and okay, that's right. It's the TS motherfucking A. Yeah. So 2 thumbs up for Get Out. It's not a rating.
Stars. So now that we've pretty much watched the whole film again together, do you have any sort of like final thoughts, takeaways, being a black man, being a blind man, anything you want to conclude with?
The way the sunken place is used, it's used how it was used in the movie, in terms of in popular culture now, right? In terms of black culture, whatever. I think there are many things that could bring someone to that sunken place. You know what I mean? And in this particular case, it was the white woman. Oh man! But in terms of blindness, you know, in terms of anything, I think there could be places where you go and you don't really feel like you have control of your situation. Hopefully, it doesn't have to be some violence that gets you out of it or something like that. You know, I don't know. I don't know if this is even making sense. But my focus is always people adjusting to blindness, people adjusting to disability. Mm-hmm. And I think we do fall into a place, and that place is not necessarily it could definitely still be racism, but there's an ableism that takes us in there. That's where we're in, and our ability to get out of that. There's an aspect of what you said earlier about his photography and using his passion to help him, and that's what it was, right? That last camera thing, when he shot that camera, he got him out of there, and that's. Man, I like that. I like the idea of thinking that a passion or something that you do, right, that you can take yourself out of the sunken place. You can help yourself. That is absolutely 100% true. And one of the ways of doing that, especially around blindness, is figuring out that internal ableism. The external ableism is always going to be there, but the one that's going to keep you in that sunken place is really the internal ableism. So the way around that could be many different things. So figure out what is it, the thing that you like, and figure out how to get yourself out using that. But it's definitely tackle that and approaching that and really dealing with that internal ableism to make yourself understand that all the BS that you've heard over your lifetime about what disability means is BS.
I'm so glad that you concluded with that, because yes, of course there's themes of racism, and then I think what we're talking about is like there's huge underlying ableism throughout the film that hasn't really gotten called out in a lot of the breakdowns and analysis of this amazing movie. And so throughout the film, the main character Chris is getting valued, quote unquote, for his desirable traits or whatever, you know, like his athleticism, his physiology, his artistic eye, but this is all externally imposed on him due to race, due to ableism. And then it's only from within himself when he focuses his energy on what he values and what he wants to put energy behind. That's what is authentically, you know, inherently valuable and helps him as a person get through this very challenging situation.
Yeah. And the value that they put on able bodies tells you vice versa, is that disabled bodies aren't worth anything. I'd be safe. I don't think they would mess with me because
you're not gonna get abducted.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get abducted. I can walk through that neighborhood with no problem. Hey sir, do you need a ride?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. This was so much fun. I love watching movies with you. It's really opened up my perspective to tap into the audio descriptions, because that's just not something I thought to experience. But I love watching it and seeing like what's done really well and how it can be done well, and then seeing where there's some missed opportunities, like walking cane instead of white cane.
That's why we always say that there should be a blind QC process, as in quality control, because a blind person would have caught that.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you so much for tuning into this breakdown. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed watching along and listening along with our breakdown. Hopefully through this watch through, you've picked up on some new things that you didn't see the first few times you've seen this film. Thomas, do you want to say goodbye to the people or
Bye to the people? No, thank you, Stephanie, for inviting me again. I had a blast. This was a lot of fun. And I invite everyone to go check out anything and everything with audio description. Support it. We'll appreciate it.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description. Don't forget to sign the pledge.
That's right. That's the pledge for culturally competent and inclusive audio description.
Thank you so much for joining us for this epic breakdown of Jordan Peele's Get Out with audio description. If you think the identities of audio description narrators should match the cultural feel of a movie or TV show, hit that like button and subscribe to the Civility Clinic for more accessible and entertaining educational content. What movie or TV show should we break down next? Leave a comment down below. And as always, thank you for watching, listening, and learning.
It is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
Which is why this is such a great psychological thriller.
Yeah, my wife hates this movie.
Yeah.
She hates
because of how real it gets.
I think so. Yeah, and I'm like, you should say you love it. You know what I mean? but
it did what it's meant to do. Definitely is a successful thriller.